Hello and welcome to a video where we are going to compare a British car to a Swedish car. Welcome to the battle between the Volvo XC40 and this, the new Jaguar E-Pace. What's interesting about this E-Pace is that even though it's virtually the same size as the XC40, it feels like a much bigger car. It feels like a more substantial car, where the Volvo maybe feels like a sort of raised up hatchback. The E-Pace does feel like a big, luxurious SUV. And the thing about the E-Pace is that it's built on a very old chassis which actually used to underpin the Range Rover Evoque. So it's a very heavy car, and to compensate for its weight and to make sure that it still feels like a sporty Jag, they've stiffened up the suspension. And that's fine when the road surface is all very good and well, but as soon as you take this thing onto a gravel road or a surface that isn't perfectly smooth, you do feel the bumps a little bit more in this than you do in the Volvo. So both cars have 2-litre turbo diesel engines, but the engine in the Jag is way more powerful, 37 more kilowatts than the Volvo at 177, and a good 100 more torques than the Volvo at a big fat 500 Newton meters. And you really can feel it when you put your foot down. Although both cars aren't going to battle to overtake or take a full load up a hill, that's for sure. They both have plenty power. When it comes to being fun to drive, I would say the E-Pace is a bit more entertaining. The Volvo is not really set up to be a sporty SUV, whereas Jag have really gone for that angle. I think the E-Pace has got one up on the Volvo on that one. But the reality is that virtually across the range, the Jag is about 200,000 Rand pricier than the XC40, and that's very hard to justify in this segment. Either this is very expensive and the Volvo is a bargain, or the Volvo is cheap and this is very expensive.
Introducing from Sweden, the brand new XC40, which has proved to be so popular around the world that Volvo can't build them fast enough. So if you want one, you better move quickly.
Right, hopping into the Volvo. This is the XC40 D4 all-wheel drive R design. It will set you back 639,000 Rand according to the list price, but to be honest, you're not going to find one at that price. The cheapest example I could find on Cars.co.za of this spec was priced all the way at 750. Although at that price you do get a lot of optional extras, which makes this a very well-specced, feature-rich car. And the first thing that I've noticed from climbing out of the E-Pace and into the XC40 is how much bigger it is in here. I mean, their external dimensions are virtually identical, but you can really feel that the Volvo is built on a brand new, super modern chassis. It's so roomy. So much space for activities. What's letting the team down here for me is this diesel engine. It sounds quite agricultural. Modern Volvos really do have some of the best interiors in the business. Beautiful to look at, really functional too. Maybe a bit more plastic in here than you'll get in the E-Pace, that's for sure. But the leather, for instance, on the steering wheel is lovely, and on the seats, the Alcantara as well. And of course, being a Volvo, there are some clever touches. I've got a wireless charging pad down here. That is an extra though. 2 USB ports, and I think this is the first time I've seen this in a car. A little rubbish bin. I really like that. Collect all your sweet wrappers and that sort of nonsense in there, and then when you get home, you just empty it in the bin. And then of course there is Volvo's Sensus infotainment system. Gets a lot of praise, the system. It is very good, probably one of the best on the market. Super intuitive and easy to use. I love using this system. Very comprehensive. All of the XC40s have this, and they all come with sat-nav. It's pretty immediately apparent that the Jaguar is the more luxurious car. Look at the lovely cross-stitching on the leather here and the leather on the dashboard. It's all very Jag-like. But there are some places where it feels a little bit cheaper than the Volvo. This plastic over here, for instance, and the steering wheel in particular, the leather is just not as nice as that in the XC40. You can fix that by opting for the R Dynamic package, which will cost you an extra 30,000 Rand, so that's probably not worth it. Just buy one of those, sheep wool ones. When it comes to the infotainment system, this is a very, very good system. It's the best that Jag's ever put out, in my opinion. Similar functionality to the Volvo, just laid out very differently. Beautiful color screen, although I would say that the reverse cameras, the 360 cameras in the E-Pace are quite a lot better than those in the XC40. There are some little tricks as well. You can hide your drinks holders over here if that takes your fancy. 2 USB ports over there and a 12-volt socket. There's a nice little rubberized area down here for your house keys, for instance, but that's where a wireless charging pad should go, and you can't get one in the E-Pace. Overall though, this is a particularly nice car interior, and it almost justifies the price tag of the Jag. Obviously, these are family cars, so the rear seats are very important. This is the Volvo. As you can see, very good knee room and headroom with the driver's seat in my driving position. There is rear aircon, but it's not independent rear aircon. They've also added a USB port, but it's a USB Type-C, which no one really uses. I can't understand why they wouldn't have just put a normal USB port there. But rear passengers get drinks holders in the armrest, and the really nice thing in the Volvo is that you can order heated rear seats. But then when you get to school, your kids probably won't want to leave, which could be a problem. It's so interesting getting to climb out of one car and straight into the other and doing a direct comparison, because I thought the Volvo seats were super comfy in the back, but actually this is on a whole other level. There's a bit less knee room, headroom's still pretty good though. And remember how the Volvo only had one silly Type-C port? Look at this, you can have 3 USB 5-volt port fitted. Look at that. Now your kids don't have to argue about charging their iPads and things. You can also have heated rear seats. Of course, that's an option. There's air vents for the rear passengers. There are 2 drinks holders in there, and that allows you to sit and very comfortably stare out of the beautiful panoramic roof. I will now test these cars' boots using a medium-sized suitcase and a packet. Starting with the Volvo. That's gone very well. Perfect height for the suitcase, and you can probably fit about 3.5 of them in there. But the Volvo also has some tricks up its sleeve. It has a false floor, good for hiding laptops and that sort of thing, which then becomes a shopping tray, which provides packet hooks so your groceries don't roll around. This particular car has an upgrade pack which gives you electric seat releases for the back seats, and those should fold down automatically, and the tailgate is electric. Moving on to the Jag, starting with the suitcase. That's not gone as well. You won't actually be able to close the boot with a suitcase like that. You'd have to move it to the middle. So this boot is smaller, which is weird because on paper, Jag says that it's larger than the Volvo. Interesting. It also has shopping hooks for your packets. They're quite well designed as well, so your groceries definitely won't roll around. There's also a 12-volt socket like the Volvo, but if you want to drop the rear seats, you're going to have to go around to the side of the car. So in terms of boot space and practicality, I think the Volvo's got this one. Right, so I have to pick a winner in this comparison, and I think given the huge price difference between these 2 cars, I'm almost going to split this into 2 competitions. One for a family car and one for a luxury compact SUV, and in that way we have 2 different winners. If I had to pick a car to run the kids around in and shoot all over town and, you know, have chocolate milk spilt all over the back seat, I think it's going to be this, the Volvo XC40. But for a bit of a status symbol, a more exciting car to drive, then the E-Pace ticks a lot of boxes, as long as the price doesn't scare you off, of course. There we go. Hope that seems fair and reasonable.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that, you know, maybe give it a like, and definitely subscribe to be the first to see our videos as they drop. Yeah, definitely do that.